Okay, so we have Margaret here who's been super, super nice to do a quick video with me of her journey so far. Finished up now, taking it on her own. So I just want to get an overview of like how she found things and where she's at now, doing it herself going forward. But let's just start off like first of all with a sentence or two about yourself of who you are, what you do, and kind of just overall structure of things for yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Margaret. I'm from Dublin. And I am I think my official role is learning consultant, but I'm basically just a trainer and for a customer support. So
Perfect.
yeah.
And like just to give us some context of like where you are beforehand, like what you were doing, and I suppose the main reason as to why you wanted to come on board and actually find like another way around it. So just give us an idea of what you were doing before, what you were majorly struggling with 12 weeks ago beforehand, or even like past that as well, or what you're at.
Yeah, so like I feel like for me, like fitness and everything started back when I was much younger. I remember having like my first gym membership when I was like 16 and having zero clue what I was doing and just doing like 3 different cardio machines, being like, great session. Um, and then I really got into running when I was like 18. But then when I went to college, I kind of fell off the wagon when it came to like working out and fitness and everything. And then towards the end of college, I did get like personal trainers and I was doing like 6-week transformations and everything. I'm sure we've all heard the buzzwords now. And I was doing like 1,200 calories, cardio 7 days a week. And I lost loads of weight, but it was completely not sustainable. And I ended up bouncing back worse and then feeling completely demoralized and completely lost and just so overwhelmed with all of the information that was out there that I had no idea which was correct. Should I be doing a cut? Should I be doing a bulk? Which squat variation is the correct one for me? Like there's in the era of Instagram, like we're lucky because we do have access to so much information, but I was just like in a bubble of like being so overwhelmed that it completely demotivated me from being able to do any training or any work on myself because I was just like, I can't, because I don't know what to do. That's when I reached out to you.
And like just before we kind of go into things that like what's changed for you, so with like that whole thing you've done before, dropped loads of weight, couldn't sustain it, came back again, like what was the worst part about that for you, and like kind of the impact that was having on you at the time that was like, can't let this go on any further, need to find another way?
Yeah, so like I think the worst of it for me was right after I like finished and I was looking really well and I was like really happy with it, but I knew that it wasn't sustainable to be going to the gym 7 days a week. But like a lot of my friends don't even know a lot of this, but like there would be days where like I would not be able to go to the gym and I would cry because I felt so guilty that I wasn't going to the gym. And also I didn't understand how much your period could affect your weight. And I would look at the scales every month when my period was coming up and I would cry. And I feel so sad when I think about that now because I'm like, God, there's so much more to life than like what the scale says or like how you look. But like I was just so demoralized and like I got to the point where I was like, I can't be sitting here crying over not going to the gym or a number on the scales. So I almost rebounded in the opposite extreme. I was following all those people on Instagram who were like, you know, ignore the scales and everything like that. And I was like, yeah. But then I was sitting there and I was getting a takeaway every weekend or 2 takeaways every weekend and eat whatever I wanted. And I was like, I'm just healthy now. And it was the complete opposite. Like I had gone from being like over fitness junkie to now being just like binging, eating whatever I wanted. So it was like the 2 extremes and neither were healthy.
And like just with the gears of that, like so you're just kind of going like one extreme to another, like what even like the frustration I presume like from like what do I do, where do I go at that time,
Yeah.
like and say just like in general, just to give some overview, like do you know even roughly where you are in terms of like body weight or dress size when you did that 6 week and then where you came back to afterwards roughly?
I have like a reasonable idea. Like I have like larger boobs anyway, so I'm always kind of like a bigger size, but I'm okay with that. Like that's part of my body. But like I would probably have been like a 14 and then I got down to like a 10 over 6 weeks. So like that gives you an idea of how much weight was lost so quickly. Um, and then I think I went up like 3-4 kilos and then was at like a reasonable set point for my weight. My body was kind of happy at that. until I got demotivated from going to the gym and stopped doing my runs and stopped doing anything. So like I feel like it went very progressively down on the amount that I was doing. And then when I was just eating crap and feeling crap, I was probably back up at like a 14 again. You know, like I completely rebounded to where I was before. At least I had like been going to the gym consistently and stuff, so I had put on a bit of muscle, but it was bounced back like I had never done the transformation in the first place.
And like just even like from that point of view, like I don't know if that affected in terms of like even the body confidence side of things, or even like what the hell just happened. Like did that change at all in that time frame?
I remember sitting back at one point where I was like, I took measurements just to like check in and see where I was, because I'd always known my measurements the whole time, from when I started the 6-week transformation and everything. And I remember taking measurements and they were worse than before I started. And I just remember thinking to myself, how did I let this happen to myself? Like, how did I go from being so fit that I was running and doing cardio 7 times a week, and which also isn't healthy or sustainable, but for me anyway, maybe for other people. But then I had gone to the other extreme, and I remember sitting there and I was like, I wasn't happy before, I'm not happy now. Like how do I get to be happy? Like if this is what it takes, if it's 7 days a week cardio and me eating nothing, I can't do that. But at the same time, I can't do what I'm doing now. And I just felt so completely lost as to what the solution was.
And I then say, obviously we hopped on a call, I think it was just before Christmas we actually hopped on a call, somewhere in that time frame, which again is a weird time to hop on a call and say like, yeah, I'm gonna go and do it. But what's changed then since that time to up until now? Like just overview what's changed in terms of like maybe your training, nutrition, how you're going about things, progress overall.
I feel like honestly everything has changed, and I know that sounds crazy, but like I've had like a crazy 2020 anyway. Like I changed job, I've like moved during this time, like my whole life has changed during these 4 months. And like for me, I think like the fitness side of things was only part of the story. Like I was kind of in like not the best place in my own self anyway. Like I remember nearly being in tears on our first call talking to you, and you were like, and how's your mindset? And I was like, I feel like I'm usually such a happy person and I just don't know what's wrong. And I just feel like myself again. And I know that sounds weird to people probably who just think like it's a bit of going to the gym or eating well, but like it is actually that deep. Like I do just feel like myself again. Like and my whole mindset about how to work out in the gym has just shifted. Like I write down everything, even on home workouts now, like I'm writing down everything I do. I'm always asking myself, like, did you push yourself there or did you not? Like, and then I'm doing 5K runs where I'm like looking at my time and I'm like, you better beat that time next time. Like it's now about like pushing me for me, and it's like about the time or the weight I lift or something like that. And it's not me staring in the mirror going, do I see abs? And now I kind of don't give a shit about that. Like I remember I said to you the other week, I was like, I'm doing ab exercises now at home because I'm not doing my full compound lifts, but not because I want abs, because I want to lift my compound lifts heavier when the gyms reopen. Like I want to be able to like see those numbers go up, and that's what I care about now, not the scales. Like the scales has finally become like a tool to like measure progress, but it's not like I'm staring at it and being like, oh, 2 pounds, guess I'm gonna go cry for an hour now. Like it's finally past that. And I can't say enough how it's so much more than just lifting weights or eating a bit of Greek fucking yogurt.
Get your protein up.
Yeah.
And like say then like obviously a whole mindset switch, because I even know like you're very goal oriented and you hop on calls all the time being like, yeah, got this, so you're definitely on that side of things, and that transition a lot. So even then like from what you've done before, how you approach nutrition before, to like obviously get the physique side of things is like just a byproduct of you doing X, Y, and Z. How did even like the physique side of things change for you? And then even, you know, how you approach that too? Like, was it the same kind of stuff you did before, or was it a completely different avenue?
I feel like for me it wasn't that different. Like in terms of like training and stuff, like I had already done stuff like that, but like there was a few times where like you knew full well that I was taking the piss with the weight that I was lifting, and we're like, you can do more, just try more. And I feel like I've gotten a huge amount of confidence around that. Like I was always comfortable with going and squatting and doing deadlifts and stuff like that, but I was doing piss weight compared to what I could actually do. And I feel like that's one thing, just like you always saying to me, just put the extra 5 kilos on, what's going to happen? Like it doesn't move, grand, you just take them off again. And that idea to me, like, don't ask me why, because it sounds really simple, but like blew my mind. And then in terms of nutrition, like I feel like I like to eat this way, I like to eat clean, and I like to look after like what I'm putting in my body. And you know, when you're going to the gym and you're moving those weights, you don't want to go home and put crap into yourself, because then you know that'll feel crap again. Like for me, I feel like it's just like my physique has changed so much. Like I have so much less fat than I did before, but I also have like good muscle. Like I feel like there's good definition coming in like my shoulders and like my chest, and like my glutes have come on hugely. Like I've lost centimeters that in that area, but I feel like it's gone from like pancakey to like lifted. You know, you understand what I mean. Like it just, there's such like small things, and like you just make the tiny changes over and over and over again. And like I look in the mirror sometimes and I'm like, I don't look that different. And then you'll send me like my side by side and I'll be like, did I look like that? Like you kind of lose the running yourself, because you just get used to the changes over time. But when you have it right there in front of you, like A to B, it's like, wow. And I don't like to think of how I look now as after, because I don't ever want there to be an after. I think this is during, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm not chasing the aesthetics. So that there is no after for me. I'm doing this because I want to like look after my health, keep pushing myself to lift heavier. And with that, there'll probably be physique changes over time as well. So there is no after, I'm just on during.
Savage. And like they just in that time frame then, like in the 16 weeks, like how, just like looking back of all those things that have changed, physique side of things, confidence with your training, because I know you nearly yourself when you went to the gym to squat and all the rest. But like how is looking at that time frame there, like how does that feel like looking back 16 weeks, because you had a lot of lifestyle changes as well happen during that and still able to continue things on? So how does it feel to see that and achieve all of those things in that time frame as well?
I feel like I lived an entire year so far in 2020. Like I feel like 2021 is about to start, because like pre-quarantine and all this shit, like just in my own life, I've lived a whole year. And I feel like that's really beneficial that it feels like it's been so long, because now this just feels normal. Like I can't imagine having a week where I don't do training sessions. Like that's just gone out of my mind entirely. Like this is just normal to me now. But because of the way you set everything up and like the conversations that we would have, no matter what changed on a given week, like when I'd be sitting there and I'd be saying to you, like, I missed one session this week because I had to prep for my interview for my new job. And it was like, yeah, grand. There's next week. And it was never like, I finally was able to get over that guilt of like, if I miss a session, it's actually okay. And like the freedom around food, and like just the fact that it's only like I have my macros and I know what I need to hit, like meant that if I was sitting there and I was prepping for my interview, or I was moving and I was going through all of these very stressful life changes that you're not supposed to do all in like 4 months, I was able to just go to like WB Company or someone and get like those dinners and just be like, grand, well, like this is good food, it's good macros, and it's taken care of. Like the difference it makes to just be able to like say, throw it into my fitness pal, be like, grand, that box is ticked, and like planning it out the day before. And like I also don't want that to sound like that's still what I do every single day. Like since I've been home on quarantine, because I'm not like trying to organize everything for the next day, like I'm pretty lucky that like I can take my meals whenever I want with my job and stuff like that. So like some days I'm sitting there and I'm like, I want a protein bar, and then at halfway through the day I'm like, do you know what, I actually don't want a protein bar, so instead I'm going to make up the protein somewhere else and just delete something from my fitness pal and change it. Like it never felt I never felt like restricted and structured. It just felt like I could do what I needed to do depending on what was going on in my life at the time.
Savage. And like, say if people are like looking at this video, maybe you have done, or because I always hop on calls and they're.
I think your audio's gone there.
Okay, so just got cut off there. But what I was just saying there before that happened was, like, say if people are in a similar position, maybe have done X, Y, Z, or taken things to an extreme, struggling in the same way that you described as well beforehand, or maybe gone the other end as well, can't seem to get out of a rut. Like, what would you say to someone who is watching this video back? Like, what kind of, I suppose, feedback or advice would you give them?
I think that like you have to be ready for it is the first thing I would say. It's like, I think that there was many times in my life where I thought that I was like ready to get on top of it and I just wasn't. And I think that this really was the right time. And I think you do a really good job of making sure that someone is at the right time as well. Like, because I had each extreme, I had, you know, eaten nothing and running all the time, and I had doing nothing and eating everything. And I was sitting there and I was like, properly lost, properly like, this is it. I'm committed, I'm driven, I need to change something. So the first thing I would say is like, people need to ask themselves, are they actually committed and are they actually ready? Because I just don't think I was before. And then I think whatever the fear that's holding you back, or whatever judgment you think is going to come from this, like, let it go already, because you're going to come out the other side a completely different person anyway, who's not going to give a shit about that. And actually, one of the best things that mindset things that I'm going to take away is what other people's opinion of you is none of your business. That's like one of my favorite quotes, and I think I've already quoted that to people like 5 times this week, and I love that. And it's been so key for me to stop giving a shit about what other people think and worry about myself, because who cares? So if anyone else is out there and they're in the same boat I was in, just like, ask yourself, are you ready to do it? And tell everyone else to just go away, because the only person that matters is you.
Absolutely class. And I actually just have one more question, because like you've done the whole like PT side of things, all the rest, like, how did you find just like the online approach? Because we were speaking about this before as well, because you've kind of done more on your own end. So how did you find the whole process? Because that's one thing that people fear of, that like, I have to meet someone in person.
Yeah, like, I have had like personal training sessions for a week, for a year and everything. Like, I've done that. And I think the problem with personal training sessions is, because it's in person, they are very much holding your hand. You are there for advice and for help and for anything as much as like I needed, but I still had to lift the weight at the gym. There was no one standing behind me saying, get it up, get it up. I have to tell myself that. And I think that's why this is a much better option for long term, because you teach people how to do it for themselves, whereas I think a personal trainer very much teaches you how to do it with them. Like, you, and that might work for some people, I'm not saying that it's bad or anything, but I just think for me personally, like, for me the gym is like my quiet time, it's my me time. I don't want to be there talking to someone else. I want to just be like focused on lifting the weight. So I think if people want it for themselves and want to be able to be in the gym by themselves and doing it for them without someone holding their hand, this is by far a better choice.
Awesome. Right, we'll leave it on that then, that ending. And so really appreciate you doing the video with me.